Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Irving Buildings and Standard Commission meeting for April 23rd, 2025. We work from a prepared agenda. Due to the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act, all comments to and deliberations by the Commission must be strictly limited to matters. Really? Okay. Anyone wishing to address the Commission should ask the moderator for permission to speak on their specified item number. All persons to speak must be sworn in. If you plan to present evidence in any case today, that evidence must remain with city staff and become part of the case master file. If you need a copy for your records, city staff will be happy to assist you with that need. We limit the time to staff and ownership to 10 minutes to present their case. However, for citizen comments, you are limited to 3 minutes. You may request more time at the end of the 3 minutes. A decision will be made whether or not to grant you additional time. A Spanish translator is available if needed. Ms. Silva, Senior Administrative Assistant for the Code Enforcement Department. If anyone in the audience plans to speak, would you please stand as you are able and raise your right hand to be sworn in? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to present is true and correct? I do. Thank you.
Real quick, we'd like to translate some of what you just covered in case somebody in the audience needs to be
Go ahead.
informed in Spanish.
Si alguien en la audiencia tiene planes de hablar en esta tarde, por favor se puede poner de pie y levantar su mano derecha.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Silva, do we have proper notification on all cases that are to be heard this afternoon?
Yes, the agenda for this meeting was posted in accordance with law at least 72 hours prior to this meeting as certified by the City Secretary's office. A notice of this hearing, as required by law, has been advertised in a newspaper of general circulation in the city at least 10 days prior to this hearing. A copy of the notice is included in the packets provided to the Commission. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Linda Silva, soy secretaria del Departamento de Código de la ciudad de Irving. Soy la traductora por esta tarde, estaré disponible por si alguien necesita ayuda. Gracias.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the items on the public hearing agenda. The first two items we'll hear concurrently. These are approving the minutes from our last work session and public hearing. Do I hear any motions from the Commission at this time to accept the minutes of the last meeting and work session?
I motion to accept the meetings of the last work session in full and unaltered.
We have a motion from Commissioner Baker. Do I hear a second?
Second motion.
And we have a second from Commissioner Metters. Okay, time to go to old school. All in favor of approving the motion, raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Are we going to have the screen for the items for individual consideration?
That's also not.
Okay, well, we'll hang tight while IT resolves our little glitch. Are we saying we have to? Well, we need somebody here to ferry new walk-ins and a sign.
Yeah, we can produce a sign, and we've got a staff member, intern from our department who's staffing the front anyway, who can remain in place and direct people to the meeting if they arrive in the middle.
Are we sure we can't just show pictures on this overhead and then broadcast up there if we?
Is that possible? If I make a hand puppet, here, I'm doing a dog, is that, oh, hey, what did I do?
That just saved everything.
The hand puppet thread. Hand puppet thread.
The threat of hand puppets, thank you. All right. Okay. Can you, all right, still one more second. Okay, do we have a status update, Mr. Diller?
I believe what we're going to do is have, Mr. Demers, can you check the system there and see if you can move the slides forward and present images? And then what we'll do is we'll vote. Okay, it looks like we're cooking with gas there. Then we'll just do voting manually and tally the
Perfect.
responses there and keep this ball rolling.
Okay. Now that we've resolved most of our IT issues, we will continue to items for individual consideration, starting with item number 3. Mr. Demarest?
Dale Demarest, Code Enforcement Manager, here to present Agenda Item 3, continued case BSCP 2304-0001, 415 West Pioneer Drive. This is a commercially zoned property that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. On October 24, 2023, the Commission adopted all findings and entered the original order for this case. Since that original order was entered, the owner made some repairs to the structure on the property by replacing the roof decking and shingles of the structure in March of 2024. These repairs did not eliminate any code violations, and therefore the Commission did re-amend the order in September 26, 2024, with a new deadline for repair demolition of November 26, 2024. On March 4th, 2025, an F1 tornado touched down in the vicinity of the property. Several trees around the property were blown over by the tornado. The photo on the right shows that the foundation and driveway slab were affected by the downing of the tree located at the back of the structure. The tree on the east side of the property fell and landed on accessory structures of the property next door, as seen in the photo on the left. Staff spoke to the owner the week after the storm, and the owner stated once again that they are close to closing on another property. Staff asked him to provide a scope and schedule prior to this hearing, but did not receive it. This was the only communication since the hearing in January. There are several violations around the structure. The roof was deteriorated and showed some signs of buckling. However, as stated, that roof had been replaced in March of 2024. This is the only work that has been completed to this date, and that roof permit was never finalized and thus has expired. This wall is located at the back of the structure. This represents damage by fire, explosion, wind, vandalism, or elements of nature, so there may be a danger to life, safety, or to the general health and welfare of a person. This is the west side of the structure, which shows missing siding and deterioration. This is the floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracks, or loose, rotten, warped, or protruding boards that may injure a person. This is the south wall of the garage that has significant rot and deterioration. This is a non-supporting member enclosing outside wall or covering with 50% damage or deterioration. This is the east side of the structure, which shows another area of missing siding. In this photo, you will see the floor joists have been exposed to the elements and are deteriorating along with the foundation support. This is a supporting member exclusive of the foundation, which shows 33% or more damage or deterioration. Staff has not been granted interior access to the structure, which leads staff to believe that the following violations still exist. The access to the front door is completely impeded by the bookshelf and rolled up carpet, which has not moved since October of 2023. Likewise, the area of the structure is inaccessible due to trash and debris. This is one of the bathrooms located near the front of the structure. In October of 2023, the flooring had been removed to make plumbing repairs easier to access. It was observed during the October inspection that some parts of the foundation are being held up by tree stumps, as seen in the red circle. The photo on the right shows that the floorboards have been replaced back over the hole, but no inspections took place for any plumbing or foundation repairs. This is a foundation that has holes, cracks, buckling, crumbling, or defects that may cause said foundation to be unable to provide adequate support. In multiple occasions, the ceilings have either fallen or been taken down. This is an interior wall or ceiling that has holes, cracks, loose plaster, defective materials, or structural deterioration that may defeat the purpose of the wall or ceiling, or that may fail to protect the occupants of the structure from danger of collapse or of fire, and parts that may fall and injure a person or property. This is true in the garage structure as well. Staff respectfully reminds the Commission of the adopted findings and make the following orders. Staff respectfully requests that the owner be ordered to pay civil penalties in the amount of $10 per each of the remaining 9 violations per day from January 23rd, 2025 through April 23rd, 2025, a total of 91 days for a total amount of $8,190 for failure to comply with the Commission's September 26, 2024 order, and to order the owners to appear at the July 23rd, 2025 hearing to update the Commission on the progress of the project. Depending on the level of progress at that time, staff may recommend civil penalties be assessed for failure to comply with the September 26, 2024 order to repair or demolish the structure. This concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 3? Yeah. Hi, welcome back. You weren't here for the swearing in, so would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear that the testimony I am about to present is true and accurate.
I do.
Thank you. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, my name is Art Burtonzetti. I'm the owner of the property at 415 West Pioneer. We've had a real estate sales contract with Racetrack for property in Fort Worth that we've finally sold the property and we've closed on the deal. And I have plenty of money now to fix it up. It took almost 2 years to close it, so but my contractor has ordered enough. All the windows are going to be replaced, all the siding, everything that's deteriorated. I've contracted with him to replace it. I paid him half the amount, and he's just waiting on the windows coming in. And that's the only thing holding it up right now. And it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks before they do come in. So, you know, I hope you don't find me. I mean, I don't know exactly what the fines up to this point have done. But I have plenty of money to complete the project, and it's going forward. I've had the plumbers out to do some prep. I've gotten all the trees that were, well, most of the trees that were damaged by the tornado have been taken down and removed. And I hope that that is enough to continue on to the next meeting. But by then, we should pretty much have everything done. It's in the process, and I don't know what else I can do. So I hope I don't get fined, but if I do get fined, I guess I'll just have to take it on the chin. Thank you very much.
Before you sit back down, I think we're going to have a few questions.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Welch.
Gentlemen,
Go ahead.
have you taken out any of the permits yet?
Yeah, I have a continuing permit to replace the siding in the windows. I believe it's still in force. Yeah.
How long have you had the permit? You say it's a continuing permit.
Oh gosh, since last year sometime, since probably about June, I guess, something like that.
I'd check on it.
I've renewed it at least one time, and I've tried to get it renewed in February.
You haven't renewed it any?
No, I have.
Oh, you
I
did
believe
renew-
it is
okay.
renewed, yeah. I haven't checked. I requested it be renewed. Yeah,
It's probably still good. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Mr. Bernzetti, I think we still have more questions for you. Sorry to make you go back and forth so much. Okay, so, I'm right here, yeah. So you said you've met with the contractor to do the exterior siding,
Yeah.
and then you said also the windows. And as
And
soon
the
as
windows.
the windows get done.
Everything with the structure and the foundation, he's agreed to repair.
Okay, so he's also going to do the foundation.
Well, there's the foundation, the plumber will do that, but he's going to do the exterior.
Does that include not just the siding, but also the walls that are leaning?
Everything is going to be looked at. I mean, everything's going to be taken down. Everything's going to be, the structure's going to be totally looked at. Whatever needs to be replaced will be replaced. It's going to cost me in excess of $90,000.
Okay, so you have a cost of this, do you have a schedule? Do you have an idea of, since this is several items, you've already mentioned that the siding is dependent on the windows being fixed. I would assume the windows are dependent on the exterior walls being fixed, because they go
Well,
in the walls.
well, the walls are not, he is waiting on the windows coming in. Everything else will be done in a week or two. It's no problem for him to do it. So he tells me.
So we had pictures up there from 1 week ago that show the exterior walls not in a state where they would be receptive to windows. What's the status of the exterior walls? Not just
Well,
the siding, but the...
I have plenty of siding to put up on the walls but I'm forbidden by the code to do it myself. You know, I would have done it long ago.
Do you have a permit for it, or has your contractor pulled a permit for this?
I have a permit to replace everything on the exterior. Wall,
Okay.
windows and siding.
When did you engage these people to do this work?
Well, I engaged them in March of last year, but I hadn't had the funding to proceed with the exterior walls until just recently, like the last part of February.
Okay, I don't think I have any further questions. Commissioner Baker, go ahead.
A couple of questions for you. You've been talking about the exterior work. What about the interior work, the buckling ceilings, floor work, what about those?
Well, I have to get the exterior fixed first. I just don't see the sense in doing the interior until that's done.
Do you have an itemized scope of work from the contractor?
For the
all-
interior work?
For the interior work?
No, I don't. But I have the funds to do it. It's not a problem.
Okay. Do you have any documentation of the funds from the sale? Just,
I'm sorry?
do you have documentation of the funds from the sale, just written documentation of the scope of work
I didn't
and the
bring
funds
it
for
with
it?
me.
Okay, is that something that you'd be willing to provide to the commission?
Oh, that's no problem.
And scope of work, so,
I intend to get it done as fast as possible, but I couldn't proceed without the money. I now have a loan of $70,000 from a bank, but I recently paid that off, but I kept the line of credit. I mean, I have plenty of funds.
is a written scope of work and a timeline for completion something that you can get from the contractor and provide?
I'm sure he can. Do you want, where and when do you want it?
As,
In other words, the thing that's holding it up now are the windows. He asked me if I wanted the best windows, and I said, yeah, order windows by Anderson. And he said it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks, and that was 2 weeks ago. So he did not want to proceed until the windows came in, because it's a lot easier for him to proceed by taking everything down and putting the windows in at that time.
I think what we're looking for here is some kind of documentation simply showing that there is a clear and concrete start date for the work and a timeline for completion, just so that we can make sure, because our concern of the commission is to make sure that all of these items get closed out that are on this list. And that's the main thing. We just want to make sure we have some evidence or proof that this will be done, or that there's a timeline for it to get done that we can see, so we can just.
And what is that going to do if it doesn't happen? What are you going to retro fine me? Is that what it is?
I don't think that we can retro fine. I'm just trying to make sure we have the documentation for the work. If that's not present today, then that's okay. Just wanted to see if there was today or not.
Oh, well, I can get you whatever documentation you need. I'll just have to get with Miguel, and it should be no problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I have a couple still. All right, so you said you got the fundings in February. What was happening in March and most of April? You said you got the funding late February, so there's been 50 some odd days.
Good question. And I don't have a good answer for that. I'll have to go back and look, but I got with Miguel as soon as I could, and gave him a check about 2 weeks ago for half the amount.
Okay, all right. Have they told you when they expect this to be finished by?
Well, he was telling me that it shouldn't take him more than 2 weeks once he starts.
When you say he, you mean like a general
Contractor.
contract? The general doing everything?
I'm sorry?
So that's everything? That's
Well-
windows, siding?
Yeah, but by the time everything, the outside is done, everything else should be done.
So certainly before we have another meeting and.
I don't intend to delay anything because I have the funds now, but I didn't have the funds before.
So you would even be confident to say that even before our next meeting, which is end of May, so that's in 30 days,
It probably could be done, yeah.
it could be done, or at the very least, meaningful progress could be made. And
Yeah.
certainly you could provide us with some sort of like paperwork, estimates of this and that, permits.
Sure, yeah, I can give you the contract that I signed with him if that's what you want.
So if we said, right now, there have been 91 days since our last meeting, and staff is proposing a fine of $81.90.
Well,
And I understand it.
I don't understand what the purpose of the fine would be.
It would be to foster a
punish
sense of
me?
expediency.
For doing, for doing what I couldn't help.
So if we were to say, we at this time, we could choose to pass on the fine and not issue it right now, but reserve the right to fine for that 91-day period as well as any further time.
Yeah.
But if the property were brought into compliance in May, which you say is already done, then we wouldn't need a fine. We don't want a fine, right? We just want the property fixed. That's what we want,
All right.
100%. So, and you're saying that by our next May meeting, that you should have either it fixed or, very much along the way to being fixed.
Well, I'm hoping, it's dependent on the delivery of the windows. I'm having to replace all the windows. That's 26 windows.
Were the windows part of the,
Well, it doesn't matter whether it was part of the code violations or not. That's what I wanted to do. I mean, if you're gonna make it new, make it new.
Ms. Mandari, did you have something?
I would like to
Go.
call Mr. Demers back up when you're finished with this witness, Commissioner.
Okay,
Dodd.
before we get bringing this numbers up, did anyone else have a question for Mr. Bertanzetti while he's standing right here? Okay, Mr. Demarest.
Mr. Demarest, I'm looking at the chronology that is submitted in the commissioner's packet on this property, and it says, on February 2nd of 2024, a permit was issued for the removal and replacement of siding, soffit, fascia trims, 23 windows, door replacement, and chimney repair. My question to you is that would that permit cover all of the interior work that is required to bring this property into minimum compliance with the city's code of ordinances?
No.
So there would be an interior remodel permit required, or what would be the required permit for that work?
The inspections department would do a overall remodel, so an interior, exterior remodel permit, had it been presented to them as a need to do both. They would have given him one permit, but now, since he has an exterior permit, which is set to expire, I guess, in 7 days, according to our records, he still has to get one for the foundation work, for the interior plumbing, the electrical, anything that needs to be brought up to compliance on that.
Okay, so as we sit here today, he does not have all the necessary permits required to bring this property in compliance?
That is correct.
All right, no further questions?
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 3? Okay. All right, with that, we will close to deliberations. I'm of the mind that we could reserve the right to assess penalties at a later date to see how this plays out. By not assessing today, we don't lose that right. And maybe this would provide for more tangible incentive, because if at the next time this case were to appear that the property were completely in compliance, I don't think of us wanting to spend too much time on what happened in the past. Or even if there were meaningful progress we made, if there were wonderful pictures of a floor that was nice and new, and maybe a few odds and ends that need to be tidied up, but still meaningful progress. Do we think 30 days or do we think 90 days? Because we have another meeting in May, which is kind of a quick turnaround. I don't know if city staff. City staff have an opinion on this.
Good.
We would defer to the commission's decision in that regard. From our standpoint, if you order Mr. Bertanzetti in this case to come back in at the May meeting, we would just mail out a copy of the order to appear so that he knows to be here in May. We obviously had requested July, but we're happy for it to be sooner, given the testimony today, if you feel that that would be beneficial to keep a better, closer eye on the progress.
Okay. The testimony says that the property should have meaningful progress. Go ahead, Commissioner Metters.
I would think that we would want to
see a little more preparation and taking care of business that needs to be taken care of in advance of that meeting. So we're not sitting here with, well, I don't know, and there's lots of open questions on this. There's no permits. We hadn't got a commitment to fix the foundation yet, and I think I would prefer to see, more complete commitment of, completing the work, whether, well, I got this guy, going on, and I don't have any documentation here. It's like it's up in the air what's going to happen here to make a decision.
Go ahead, Commissioner Simon.
I agree with Commissioner Metters. I mean, I think this has gone on for long enough.
Go ahead.
I'll say that I think that deferring a fine until a May meeting would be reasonable, provided at the May meeting, the owner of the property either shows up with completed or substantially completed work and substantially complete documentation for any work that is yet to be completed, showing a scope, timeline, and budget, but not to delay until the July meeting for such a thing.
Okay. I think we have a pretty idea of what we...
Yeah, I would just say, I would add, my concern is that the fine is not an incentive in particular for Mr. Bertonzetti, would be my thoughts.
Well, if the
He's
fine's...
basically made that clear, so.
if the fine's not an incentive, it's not an incentive. We're limited. This is a homestead property, so $10 per day per violation is the maximum that could be assessed. So if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. But by letting it pile up, it becomes more of a bigger, like, one-time hit, because if there's 91 days here, and then at our May meeting, that'll be another 29 days or something like that, which would add another $3,000 or so, $2,700. Okay, with that, we'll put this into an actual motion. I move that we amend the staff's recommended order to, what's the staff's recommended order? To remove the civil penalties, noting that we do reserve the right to assess them at a later date, and instead change the order to an order to appear at our May hearing.
That would be a motion to continue this case and its associated public hearing to the Commission's May 28th meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, along with an order to appear.
I second the motion.
We have a second. Is the voting still kaput? Okay, so we'll do this by hand. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, on to item 4, please.
Julia Cuellar, Code Enforcement Specialist, here to present Agenda Item 4, continued case BSCP 2402-0003, 503 Ralston Road. This was a vacant single-family dwelling that was substandard and unfit for human habitation. The following photos represent the improvements made to the interior and exterior of the home. The interior has been completely repaired and upgraded. Work on the property has been all-inclusive, as seen here at the backside of the structure. The property has been fully renovated, and all permits have been finalized by the inspections department, leaving no outstanding items. With that in mind, staff respectfully requests that the commission order to close this case due to compliance. This concludes staff's presentation of this case.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 4? Okay, with that, we'll close this matter to the floor. Do I hear any motions from the commission at this time?
I move to accept the city staff's recommendation in full.
We have a motion from Commissioner Baker. Do I hear a second?
Chairman, I second the motion.
And a second from Mr. Metters. With that, all in favor of accepting the staff's recommendation in full, please raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Item 5, please.
Dale Demarest, Code Enforcement Manager, here to present Agenda Item 5, continued case BSCP 2403-0002, 1016 Compton Avenue. This is an occupied single-family dwelling that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. This case was opened in March of 2024. The overall condition of the house can be seen from the street. Staff spoke with the heir on March 19th, 2025, and the property is still in the hands of their lawyer. According to the heirs, they have had the property ownership changed to Dallas County Appraisal District in order to show the probate court that they're interested in obtaining the ownership of the property. This has closed the estate in the eyes of the appraisal district, but has not actually changed the ownership on the title. Since the hearing on July 23, 2024, there have been no attempts to make repairs to the structure. In some cases, it appears that some old siding was possibly removed, only to be replaced by weathered, used plywood. Throughout the exterior of the house, you will see siding and plywood in various levels of disarray. This is non-supporting and closing outside wall or covering with 50% damage or deterioration. The front porch supports are leaning, representing walls or other vertical members which list, lean, or buckle in excess of a 1/4 inch horizontal measurement for each 1 foot of vertical measurement. The roof of the structure has several points of deflection and deterioration which represent a floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe for the purpose for which it is used and to support the weight of emergency personnel and equipment as determined by the fire chief. Those roof issues continue through the soffits of the structure, which show a floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracks, loose, rotted, warped, or protruding boards that may injure a person. Staff was granted access by the tenant on July 12, 2024, at which time we discovered interior walls or ceilings that have holes, cracks, loose plaster, defective materials, or structural deterioration that may defeat the purpose of the wall or ceiling, or that may fail to protect the occupants of the structure from danger of collapse or a fire, and parts that may fall and injure a person or property. Access has not been granted since then. We also found that areas of the floor that represent a floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracks, loose, rotted, warped, or protruding boards that may injure a person. With that in mind, staff respectfully reminds the Commission of the adopted findings and make the following orders. Staff respectfully requests that the owner be ordered to pay civil penalties in the amount of $15 per each of the remaining 8 violations per day from January 23rd, 2025 through April 23rd, 2025, a total of 91 days for a total amount of $10,920 for failure to comply with the Commission's July 23rd, 2024 order, and order the owners to appear at the July 23rd, 2025 hearing to update the Commission on the progress of the project. Depending on the level of progress at the time, staff may recommend civil penalties be assessed for failure to comply with the July 23rd, 2024 order to repair or demolish the structure. This concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item 5? Okay. Hi, before we do that, we need to swear you in. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And would you state your name and address for the record?
Andrea Yvette Thomas, 1016 Compton Avenue. Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Andrea Thomas.
Are you an owner or
One of them.
you're one of them? Okay, so you have 10 minutes to, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just, we have been trying to get the property sold. We don't want, there was two houses, on this property. It was 1016 and 1020. You guys already demolished 1020. So this one, we're just trying to get the property sold. We tried, there has been a guy interested, so we did deal with him, and he went through a title company, but there is a hiccup in the sale of it because of a quitclaim deed. So we have to get a lawyer. That's what we're trying to do. We don't have money to pay no fine. We're trying to get money to get the lawyer, which we are waiting on our income tax to get the lawyer. We've already spoke to someone, so that's what we're trying to do. So he can try and clear the title so we can get it sold. That's what we want to do. But it's not just me. It's my 2 siblings, and we have some half-siblings, and they did the quitclaim deed with a cousin that belonged to my dad, so from my dad's side of the family. So that's what we're dealing with. It's I guess, a lot of red tape.
Okay, so it's not a clean title, so I'm gathering, and then you need to get a lawyer, then try to, And you said you had 1020 Compton, and then that was,
Yeah, tore down,
okay.
yeah.
Do you have a sort of a timeline on, you said this is dependent on getting your income tax
Yeah,
refund.
it should be coming soon. So we've already spoken to a lawyer. We're just waiting to get that so he can go forward. As soon as we get the payment, he's going to get a payment. I would say within the next 2 weeks that he should get a payment and start whatever it is, the research or whatever he has to do to clear title.
Okay, do you already have a buyer lined up?
Yeah, someone, we have someone that we spoke with. Like I said, he had did it with Alamo Title. I went there with him to do a affidavit of heirship with Alamo Title and for the buyer. So that's what I'm trying to do. We're trying to sell.
Okay. While she's up here, any other questions from the commission or city staff? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to this item? Okay. All right. With that, we'll close this matter to the floor. Thoughts, suggestions? Right now, we have the staff's recommended order is civil penalties at $15 per violation per day.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Ms. Bernardi to comment on the title, trying to get an item cleared on the title. Can you kind of advise us what?
Well, I believe Mr. Boyle has advised you on many occasions, so this process is a process that we call in rem, and so we truthfully don't have to determine, this body is not asked to determine who the lawful owners of the property are, nor does staff make that determination. We are required by law to do a search of the property records and a bunch of other records under state law to make a due diligence search to identify any interested persons who have an interest in this property, to notify them of these proceedings. And so from staff standpoint, we have fulfilled that obligation and notifying everybody we need to notify. Obviously, they are here and present. The other thing I would mention is, and I'm not going to speak to whether or not they can transfer title based on the current status of the airship, but from our standpoint, if the commission were to assess civil penalties, we do file that in the deed records of Dallas County, and that would be something that typically, when a property goes to be sold, would have to be paid off to clear title in order for that to sell at that time. So, we have had properties where civil penalties have been assessed that have still sold, and it is not a bar to those properties selling. I hope that is helpful.
Yeah, one other follow-up with you. What would be a reasonable amount of time, somebody discovering that they have a title problem, of clearing that title problem?
I would say that probably depends on the lawyer that you are able to hire and engage to help assist you through that process and do that work for you. But ultimately, I would note that this case has been going on for over a year now, and probably before that, but just in terms of how long staff has been working it for this process. So, we've, I believe, heard very similar testimony along what you heard today vis-a-vis trying to clear up title, get the heirs to come to the table, and get this ownership/title issue resolved. And so I believe that this has been going on for quite longer than probably it should have. But I can't speak to, who's been engaged to do this work for them and whether or not, they've had good representation or not to complete that in a more prompt fashion.
Okay, I'm just reading the timeline. So our first repair demolish order was July 2024. And October, phone calls about titles and airship. And November, I want to say November, I can't see that. So we've twice established fines.
Mr. Chairman, while you're looking, I would also just like to point the commission to page 123 of your packet, where you will see the original application to declare airship that was filed on December 4th of 2009. 2009. Followed by an original notice of violation February 21 of 2008.
2008 was a, what, 2008?
On page 125 of 295, a notice of violation dated February 21, 2008.
Mr. Chair, my recollection, and having reviewed all these title documents, though quite some time ago, is that originally this property was in the name of Jimmy Townsell, who passed away, and the application to declare airship as to Jimmy Townsell was in 2009, that Mr. Boyle referenced by his son, Aaron Townsell. I believe Aaron Townsell is now deceased, and I believe his daughter, Andrea, and the other siblings are the ones that still haven't filed an application to declare airship as to his estate, if that makes sense. We're a couple levels down in the airship line. That's why there's a complicated probate history on this case.
Do we know the violations from '08 are the same violations? This house been in a state of disrepair for 17 years?
I think we'd have to have Mr. Demarest answer those questions.
Well, we'll reopen it to the floor then and have Mr. Demarest.
To answer your question, at the time of 2008, 2009, in that time when I was a building and standards inspector, this was an open case at that time. From then on, I do not know what happened after 2011 when I left, but when I came back, we started working both this property and the one next door. Remember, 1020 Compton was the same owner, so we worked one case at a time, as we often do with owners, to prevent piling on. But we'd worked the 1020 Compton case, completed that, and then this one got reopened, or got, pursued forward. But I do not know the timeline between the original NOV and the time we issued a new NOV on this case. But yes, as I look at the documents, some of the violations are remaining from that time as well.
So what's the decision between the repair and demolish? So we're doing penalties and not demolishing? Is the structure very
You want to answer, or you want me to?
or
This property is occupied.
occupied?
It's still occupied, Dale, correct? Yes, so this property is occupied, and there is some state law out there that it has been read to require a city to pay relocation costs when it's occupied. That law, right now, there is a bill pending before the state legislature that would eliminate that obligation for the city. And if that happens, you may see more occupied properties being brought before this commission. But paying costs of relocation for people who are living in residential structures becomes very burdensome for the city. And so we did not ask for or seek demolition on this particular house due to its occupied nature because of the current state of the law.
So this house has been occupied in an unsafe manner for what sounds like 17 years with a floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe. That's how I'm gathering.
Yeah, yes, it clearly does not meet minimum code as we've presented that evidence to this commission.
This is a question for Mr. Demarest or Ms. Spugnardi. Because we're talking about title, we're talking about legal concerns. In terms of the immediate concern of the structure being repaired, what is the reasonable expectation under the current circumstances in order to repair?
Well, we find ourselves in a precarious situation with this particular property, as in most states, when we have a tenant living in the house, as we have determined prior to today's testimony, that the person that presented herself as part of the ownership. Under a tenant agreement, we'd look for that tenant agreement between the owner and the tenant, where they sign an agreement, have a lease agreement for the property, and then we'd falter back onto that and say, per your lease agreement, you need to make these repairs. Because we don't have that in this situation, this appears to be a family member or somebody as part of the deal. It's kind of been one of those things that we haven't been able to enforce the repairs because there's not been a complaint. The person living in the house seems completely content with the condition and where they are. And so it hasn't been up for us to actually have to enforce that we're doing that through Building and Standards Commission with the civil penalty process.
Do you have any statement on the impact of the property being in its current condition on the adjacent city properties or adjacent private properties?
The one adjacent property to this one is owned by the same people. It's the one we tore down at 1020 Compton. I have not heard anything from we don't have any complaints. Nobody has called in complaints. And I don't know if that's due to them just, the community being what it is over there and them being, understanding that we're working it, which I think is more to the test. Every property we have, as I've presented before, that we put a sign out in front to let the neighborhood know that we are working through a code compliance process to get this under control. And that pretty much across the city has stemmed a lot of complaints coming in on these houses once they know code enforcement's already involved. So at this time, I would say we don't have any complaints on the property, but as you clearly see from the street view, it speaks for itself.
And a question for Ms. Spugnardi. The levying of a fine in this case, you made an earlier comment where the levying of a fine did not substantially impede the process of a sale of the property. Is your assessment do you have an opinion on what the levying of a fine would do to the ability of this property to be sold, what that would do to this process? Would it increase the time taken? Would it decrease the time taken or have no effect towards a solution? That's the main thing, towards a solution, towards fixing all these problems.
I'm not sure that I'm familiar enough with where they are in trying to sell this house. It sounds like not far along at all if they haven't hired a lawyer yet to clear up the title and get it sold. But again, what I would say is typically when you go to sell a property, there is a title search conducted, and that title search would then reveal what is deed recorded by the city in terms of if we were to get a civil penalty order, and that would be assessed by this commission, we would file that with the deed records, and they would pick that up. And so that then is between the seller and the buyer to resolve who is going to pay any outstanding liens or assessments against the property. Again, just in the years I've been doing it, I haven't seen it impede a property from selling. I have seen it take maybe a little extra time to negotiate through that process, but I haven't seen it totally impede it, and I wouldn't say it's a substantial delay by any stretch of the imagination.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to reclose this matter to the floor. I think the amount of the fine is kind of steep for the area. Where that property can't be worth that much in its current state, given the location and the size and the fact that it's dilapidated. Plus, you have a tenant that might be difficult to get out. I would just assume let it play out. Maybe put this one on the July docket and see what happens. If it gets sold, new owner, that'd be a best case scenario. But even then, there's a tenant, so Now we're looking at eviction laws before any demolish could be happening.
I don't know if that tenant has an actual lease. I'm unclear on that from Ms. Thomas. I don't know if there's
Even if you don't have
actual
a
lease or if there's somebody just being permitted to live there on a month-to-month tenancy.
Well, even if it is somebody just living there, they still have tenant rights. So I would be surprised if there was an actual contract lease, and it wasn't just either you're allowed to live here or, some kind of cash payment situation. I don't really think I personally don't think assessing a fine today is going to do anything to the situation. That ultimate relation. I don't see it actually furthering it. And of course, we can always assess a fine later. Because even if we assess so many fines that the house becomes completely upside down and the city essentially owns it, there's a tenant that we can't move. And now the city is, I guess, the landlord or something to that effect. So I think at this point, all our eggs are in the basket of the property gets sold and the new owner makes some kind of headway.
Well, if the property gets sold, it's still the same condition that we got today, right?
Yes, it doesn't magically get better.
And if there's not an agreement with a tenant, you just transfer this same problem to another owner. So the one thing the penalty does is probably incite getting this lien resolved, possibly accelerating a sale, and then getting it into somebody else's hand because it's apparent that there's not a willingness to repair and take care of the property. So that'd be what I have to share.
Yep, that also makes perfect sense. How about the rest of the commission? What are thoughts? I could go either way on it. I mean,
I'd be inclined to adopt staff's recommendation in full.
That fine could be a little difficult to pay for a house note worth more than that is. That's what I'm looking at. It's kind of adding insult to injury.
yeah, I think that we probably should assess a fine because it is outstanding. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And there is, at this point, almost a duty to the surrounding area to keep some kind of pressure on getting this moving towards resolution. But yeah, that house, even in today's real estate market, is not a lot of value there.
I think it's a concern when we're talking about something that goes back 2008, 2009. I mean, what are the kind of outer limits on that?
Yeah, I think we assess it based on 2008, 2009. I don't believe that we've entered technically in a testimony that the house has been in a state of disrepair that long. So I would hesitate to use that as actual sort of substantive in making a decision. I think as far as we're concerned, this case began in January of 2024, because that is when it arrived that is when the code enforcement begins their chronology. So I mean, even though I'm assuming the house has been in the case for 16 years prior to that, we'll be blind to that because that testimony has been presented.
Yeah,
I
understand.
But I understand your point too.
I'll make the comment that I think I favor the action that induces motion in the case as opposed to the one that continues to allow it to stand still. So I think I see both points of view on this case, but I think that since this is in the process of the sale, the addition of the fine or the civil penalty provides incentive for completion of the sale and the transference of ownership, which I think is the ultimate goal in order to get this thing repaired.
Okay. All right. How about we just, I'm thinking of just reducing the fine a little bit to be a little more economically, I think, in the right ballpark.
$5 a day?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So 91 times 5 times 8. All right, so I will make a motion to adjust the staff's recommended order to civil penalty hereby assess the amount of $5 per 8 days times 91 days, coming to $3,640 for failure to comply with the January 23rd, 2024 order. And that and we keep the order to appear at July 2020, at the July 23 meeting. Did you get all that?
I checked the math on that. 5 times 91 is more like 45.
5
more than
times
45.
91 times 8.
Okay.
Samsung says that's right.
All right.
Okay. 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 All right, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
And a second, Commissioner Baker. All right. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Item number 6, please.
Julia Cuellar, Code Enforcement Specialist, here to present Agenda Item 6, Continued Case BSCP 2401-0006-1534 Luke Street. This is a single-family dwelling that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. This case was opened on January 30th, 2024. On November 20, 2024, the Commission ordered an appearance for an update on March 26, 2025, with an expectation to repair or demolish by May 20, 2025. On the left is the condition of the property as of November 2024. On the right is the current condition. After the owner discussed his scope and schedule, he decided to demolish the existing structure and build a new single-family residence. He obtained a demolition permit on December 12, 2024, and a new construction permit on March 11, 2025. Since the demolition permit was issued, the owner has removed the roof and other materials and has taken down the majority of the existing structure. The remaining deteriorated wood framing must also be removed. This directive comes directly from the building inspector, who met us on site and confirmed that the existing material is not approved for use in the construction of the new home. Translate only for now, please. As of April 2022, 2025, the owner is working to get the temporary pole set up, has plumbers on site, and is preparing the front area to extend the foundation. With that in mind, staff respectfully request that the Commission order the owners to appear at the May 28, 2025 hearing to update the Commission on the progress of the project. Dependent on the level of progress at that time, staff may recommend civil penalties be assessed for failure to comply with the November 20, 2024 order to repair or demolish the structure. This concludes staff's presentation of this at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 6?
¿Hay alguien en la audiencia que desea hablar sobre este caso?
Gracias, Ms. Silva. Okay, with that, we'll close this matter to the floor. So, order to appear in 30 days. Do I hear any motions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation in full.
We have a motion from Commissioner Metters. Do I hear a second?
Second that?
And a second from Commissioner Simon. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 7, please.
Commissioner Dodd, or Chairman Dodd, real quick, as we transition to the item there, I just want to make a note that Code Enforcement Officer Michael Ramos translated the last item to the owner so that he understood all along what the presentation was. And so we feel like he's informed as to the requirement to return and the update that was provided.
Yes, let the record reflect the city staff did a good job with the bilingual help with the owners present.
Julia Cuellar, Code Enforcement Specialist, here to present Agenda Item 7, New Case BSCP 2302-0004, 910 Oakland Drive. This is a single-family dwelling that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. A fire occurred February 2023 in the bedroom located on the south end of the structure. Due to the fire and weather conditions of the property, the following violations exist. A non-supporting enclosing outside wall or covering with 50% damage or deterioration. The photo on the left is a loft where the fire started. The photo on the right is a damaged framing member that is still present. This is the back wall of the structure, which is a supporting member, exclusive of the foundation, which shows 33% or more damage of deterioration. A roof permit was issued and final for new roof shingles. However, roof decking was compromised in fire and is a floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe for the purpose for which the floor or roof is used and/or to support the weight of emergency personnel and equipment as determined by fire chief. This is a photo of the interior of the house, which shows significant damage to the sheetrock. Likewise, this hole created by the fire department to vent the fire represent an interior wall or ceiling that has holes, cracks, loose plaster, defective materials, or structural deterioration that may defeat the purpose of the wall or ceiling, that may fail to protect the occupants of the structure from danger of collapse or of fire. The permits department will require an engineering report for the foundation to be built on. Until then, this represents a foundation that has holes, cracks, buckling, crumbling, or defects that may cause said foundation to be unable to provide adequate support. The accessory structures on the property are also in a dilapidated state, which have walls or other vertical structural members which list, lean, or buckle in excess of 1/4 inch horizontal measurement for each 1 foot of vertical measurement, and parts that may fall and injure a person or property. The owner's daughter has started working on the repairs of the property, including replacing the roof shingles, cleaning up illegal outside storage, replacing exterior siding, fascia and soffit, and painting. However, the structural aspects of the house have not been addressed. Although the owner's daughter has made progress, the structures themselves still require repairs. She is working on obtaining ownership of the property to secure a loan for interior repairs while continuing to work on the property during weekends.
Commissioner Dodd, may I ask a few questions of this witness?
Go ahead, Ms. Spignardi.
Thank you. Inspector Cuellar, did the city conduct a due diligence search to identify and locate all owners, mortgagees, lien holders, and other interested persons for this property?
We did.
Was a search conducted of the real property records of Dallas County, Dallas Central Appraisal District records, records for the Secretary of State for the State of Texas, assumed name records of Dallas County, tax, utility, and other records of the City of Irving?
It was.
Was notice of this public hearing sent by certified mail, return receipt requested to all owners, mortgagees, and lien holders that you identified in your search, giving them at least 10 days advance notice of this hearing?
It was.
Was notice of this public hearing posted on the front door of the structure at least 10 days in advance of this hearing?
It was.
Was notice of this public hearing published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city at least 10 days in advance of this hearing?
It was.
Are documents included in the Commissioner's packet of materials which evidence the persons identified through the city's due diligence search for this property and the notification that was provided?
Yes.
Is this property dilapidated?
It is.
Is it substandard?
It is.
Is it unfit for human habitation?
It is.
Is this property a hazard to the public health, safety, and welfare?
Yes.
Does this property constitute an urban nuisance?
It does.
In your opinion, could this property be repaired without substantial reconstruction?
No.
And what is the staff recommendation for this case?
With that in mind, staff respectfully requests that the commission adopt these findings and make the following orders. Allow city staff to make inspections no later than June 22, 2025, to complete the repairs or demolition of the structure, and if the structure on the property have not been completely repaired or demolished, and debris removed by June 22, 2025, the commission authorizes the city of Irving, its agents and contractors to enter the property, demolish the structure, and remove all debris from the property on or after June 23, 2025, and put the owner on notice for civil penalties up $1,000 per day for missed deadlines. This concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 7? Ma'am, if you would raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
I do.
All right, you may proceed. Oh, if you could state your name and address for the record.
My name's Gwen Gunya, 201 North Shady Shores, Lake Dallas, Texas. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm trying very hard Sorry. To keep this house. It was my father's, and after the fire, he had several strokes and was bedridden, and so I was taking care of him and working. And any money extra that I have made goes towards trying to fix his home. He has since died. Sorry. And this is all I have anymore of him. And I am doing the very best I can. I've replaced the roof, decking and all, because in the beginning, I was told that that needed to be done. It needed to be dried in before anything else could be done. And so that's what I went with. I've got a contractor that I'm meeting with after I leave here today for the interior. I just need consideration for more time. And maybe not so much of a fine. And I don't want to lose my dad's house.
Could we ask her to speak closer to the mic?
Oh, yeah, sorry, if you could have the mic a little bit closer. Thank you.
I mean, I've done a lot of work. It's just me. I go on the weekends and work continuously for the weekend the entire time. I've got pictures that I've taken since code enforcement has taken their pictures to show the work that I've done, done thus far. As far as the interior, the reason why it isn't done is because I was waiting on my contractor meeting up with to get the permit that needs to be pulled in order to do the work. But like I said, I'm meeting with him after I leave here today. I don't know what else to.
Okay, I'll just ask you a few questions. So, what work have you already done?
I've replaced the roof.
Okay.
The exterior, any of the deterioration on the exterior, I have completed. It's been painted. The fascia, the soffit have all been repaired. The back wall has been. I've done the siding on the back. Siding on the back wall. The lot has been cleaned up. I've removed all debris that has been burned or that was trash. All of that's been done. One of the sheds that's in the back, I have started fixing where the fire damage had, been. Yeah, I've got pictures also, if you'd like to see them.
Yes, if we could. Can we get that projector on? Or,
They're
yeah.
paper, I don't know if that, does it work like that? I don't know.
Yeah, can it be-
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, it should. If you place the paper on the white space there, it should project it onto the screen.
Okay. I've got befores and afters, like, for instance, this was of course, the roof after the fire. You can
That's hopefully
see.
the before.
Yep, that's the before. And this one is after the roof was done. It's still got the debris on the exterior that hadn't been done yet, but it shows the new roof, decking and all. The exterior wall that I was talking about that has been sided. This was what it looked like before. Okay, and then now it looks like this. Let's see here. This was the exterior shed that I was talking about that had been, this is the fire, what it looked like for the fire. There was a greenhouse there as well, but it's been since torn down. And this is, now mind the roof, a friend of mine did roll roofing, that's going to be taken down and redone. But that's where the fire was, the exterior damage has been replaced. As far as cleanup for the property, there was a lot. It took me 4 dump trailers full to get rid of everything that was there. It was horrible. And this is where the back was cleaned up. This is actually material that's been covered up that I, plan on using for the repair. I mean, for the home. Anyway, this was when you're. Yeah. This has been replaced. It was kind of rotted there. Let's see. This is the window was covered with plastic because it had been broken out during the roof repair, but it has been fixed. Let's see. And this is the exterior of the house now. As it's been repainted, I made shutters, put them on there, yada, yada, yada. And this was one of the exterior walls that had damage at the fascia and soffit. It's all been repaired, repainted. And this was the side that you saw that code enforcement represented, that had been burned. It has been repaired, painted. I'm still working here on this. So, but that's where I'm at with this.
Okay, sounds like a lot of work. What work do you have now remaining to do? It sounds like the interior.
The interior, as far as I understand, the interior.
Okay, so what parts of the interior? Is it the floor? Is the foundation cracked?
Honestly, there is a lot of the water damage because of the damage done by the fire department to the roof. So, yeah, there is damage to the sheetrock. I have not noticed any buckling on the floor there, but I haven't really given it a real good look. It's hard for me to go in the house. Honestly, I'll be honest, it is. But I know that the sheetrock's got to come out, and it definitely needs sheetrock, probably new flooring, just because of the water damage. But I hope to have that done very quickly. I'm waiting on my income tax to come in because, like I said, it's just, I'm doing it all with what extra money I have. So when my income tax comes in, all of it will go to that.
Did you do anything did you have any work done to the foundation?
I have not yet, no. But I didn't see, as far as the foundation, I didn't see myself, but of course I'm not experienced in that department. I'll find out more today with the contractor coming.
Okay. Just 1 second, while I go through all this. Okay, so the interior walls, you haven't done anything with the sheetrock, correct?
No, I have
Okay.
not. No, because I was going to have the contractor pull the permit that's needed for that sort of thing.
And there's still burn marks on the interior?
On the interior?
Yeah.
No. Not that I'm aware of. There's damage from the pressure from the fire department from the water. There's smoke
Interesting.
damage,
There's smoke damage?
but there was no burn. I mean, what you probably see that's black is mold, honestly, from the water.
Does fire department water count as elements of nature? Is the water from a fire hose an element of nature?
It's certainly damaged by fire.
Okay, so it's tangential to being damaged by fire. Interesting. Okay. Do you have a timeline? I know you're saying you're meeting with them. Do you have an idea of how long you think it would take?
To do the interior, honestly, I mean, I'm going to say maybe 3 weeks. I mean, but that, again, is not my area of expertise, so.
So do you think by June 22nd that you'd be able to have, it sounds like you've got most of it fixed, you just need whatever was wrong with the foundation, some interior plaster work.
If my income tax comes in, I had to file an extension due to the whole marketplace, healthcare marketplace thing. I didn't get my form, I guess you're supposed to
Yeah.
send in. So I had to file an extension. I'm hoping that it does come in before then so that I can have this done. But I honestly, if I could get just a little more time than that,
Sure.
just a little, I'm not asking for a lot.
The most we could give you is 90 days.
That's
unless you-
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be actually perfect.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Ms. Wittens while she's up here? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience else who wishes to speak to this item? Okay. Could I recall Mr. Demarest real quick? I want to see the pictures you showed. Huh?
It's Ms. Clay.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. Could you show me pictures of the foundation, wherever that was? And this is a pier and beam, or is it slab?
This looks like slab.
Okay. It's pier and beam?
Gwen says it's pier and beam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you show me the pictures where the foundation has holes, cracks, buckling, crumbling, or defects?
This is the only picture acquired for the foundation due to the inspections department needing an engineer report to be able to build on the foundation. Until then, until that answer comes in, we have to consider this in violation.
Okay. All right. I think we can close this matter to the floor. I'm going through, so we'll be entering, staff has proposed entering in 9 findings into evidence. I believe that only 4 of them could make it in. Walls or other vertical structure members which listed here buckle, I believe that has been fixed based on the pictures she provided in her testimony. For B, a supporting member, which shows 33% more damage. That sounds like the walls again, which seem to be fixed. Again, this isn't the plaster. The plaster parts are still going to be broken. Non-supporting member enclosing outside wall with more than 50%. I think based on her pictures, that seems to be resolved. Parts that may fall still seems to be outstanding because she said she didn't do anything on the interior. Floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe. She said to fix the roof, we saw that, but the floor, per Ms. Aguilar's testimony, has not been touched. So I think we would consider that still outstanding. For F, again, that's the same thing. So if it hasn't been touched and the city staff have testified that it was cracking or buckling, that would also still be outstanding. And then G, a floor exterior, so again, the floor, so this would still be broken. Interior wall, again, nothing's on the interior, and then I, damaged by fire. So the way I see it, we would strike the first three and leave the remaining 6 as outstanding items to be resolved. Does that track? Or have I lost y'all?
You didn't lose me. I was searching for a button. Mr. Chairman, it looks to me that this property owner is making, reasonable progress here, in this timeframe. And, it looks to me that this, right now, it looks like the recommendation is consider at a future date potential penalties, but not right now. I
Well,
think
yeah.
That's the way it is.
Penalties would only ever come into play if our orders were violated.
Right.
We say you have 90 days to repair, and on the 91st day, that's when
Yeah.
the civil penalties would
And
kick in.
I think it's reasonable if we come back and review this again. That we've got a meeting in May. Perhaps we ask our owner to come back and give us a little report of where we are.
That might be a little early. I think she's,
Well, but it's just, again,
yeah.
indicating progress, towards getting this taken care of, because it looks like that's there, and, perhaps we push the June 22nd date a little bit.
Well, I'd hesitate to drag her back before the commission so soon. When
Okay.
It's going to be a little hard, to
Well,
get.
I think you see where I'm.
I think,
where I'm
yeah, but I
headed.
think she's clearly making progress.
Yep.
So I don't really, if there was an owner I'd put faith in to get progress done, it'd be this one, as opposed to some of the others.
Question for the chairman.
Go ahead.
Earlier, you said the maximum amount of time that could be given was 90 days.
Yeah.
That's 90 days from what point?
From today,
From today?
from our
Okay.
order, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I will say I agree with Commissioner Metters. Clearly, progress is being made, and given the fact that the foundation evaluation has not been done yet, and foundation repair, if it were necessary, which is not known, but if it were necessary, can take a little bit of time, I would favor amending the staff's order to allow the maximum amount of time
Yeah.
before penalties would kick in of 90 days from now, in order to just continue progress and make any evaluations that need to be done. And then that would, if it's from today, that would be June, so to June to July.
July 22nd.
So I'd favor amending the staff's recommendation to allow for a 90-day period from now before penalties would come in, and then to order to appear at the next meeting after that.
Right. Okay, anything from Commissioners Welch or Simon? Okay. All right, let me put this motion together. Hope you're all keeping track. Make a motion to amend the staff's recommended order to drop findings A, B, and C from the entries. Ms. McNair's nodding her head, so she gets what I'm going after. So there will only be D through I will be only violations recorded as part of this order. And then we amend all instances of June and replace it with July, because that will add 30 days to bring it to 90 days. Yes, and everything else would stand as is. So it would be 90 days, and then we drop the first three violations, which are resolved. We got that? All right.
Commissioner Dodd, just to clarify,
Go ahead.
90 days from today, I calculate to be July 22nd, so
Yep.
that will be the date that we would insert for the compliance date in paragraph 1 on page 2 of the order. And then the subsequent date for the order to, the date for the order to appear would not change, though. It would stay July 23rd, is that my understanding? You want her back on that 91st day?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, with that was technically a motion I just said. Anybody wish to second that?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second from Commissioner Baker. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Last item, please.
Dale Demers, Code Enforcement Manager, here to present Agenda Item 8, new case BSCP 2402-0002, 1129 Missy Lane. This is a single townhome that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. The roof of the structure is missing shingles and is weather damaged. This is a floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe for the purpose for which the floor or roof is used and/or to support the weight of emergency personnel and equipment as determined by the fire chief, and parts that may fall and injure a person or property. This is the back area of the structure, has a large hole that allows access to animals, and is a non-supporting member enclosing outside wall or covering with 50% damage or deterioration, and a floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracks, loose, rotted, or warped or protruding boards that may injure a person. In April of 2024, the city had the property secured to avoid any unauthorized entry. Since that time, the structure has remained secure, but no work has been done on the interior as seen from the kitchen window. And from the back sliding door, sheetrock has fallen off the ceiling, which represents an interior wall or ceiling that has holes, cracks, loose plaster, defective materials, or structural deterioration that may defeat the purpose of the wall or ceiling, and that may fail to protect the occupants of the structure from the danger of fire or collapse. When the case was first opened, it was noted that the copper plumbing pipes have been removed by vandals when the structure was unsecured. This is damaged by fire, explosion, wind, vandalism, or other nature, so there may be a danger to life, safety, or the general health and welfare of a person. Staff had received a text message from the owner prior to the intended March meeting that they would be unable to attend that meeting. Then again, today, with the same message that they were unable to attend the meeting today. There has been no other communication with this owner. The owner has failed to reach out to the city to discuss the property. Like I said, it's only been these two particular text messages in which we've had any contact with this particular owner. And staff offered once again today to have communication over the phone, and we did not receive a return call today as well. So with that in mind, Ms. Bagnardi?
Janet, you want to do your thing?
Yes, I apologize, I was reviewing the order. Yes.
Sorry,
Mr.
we were overloading you.
My apologies. Mr. Demers, did the city conduct a due diligence search to identify and locate all owners, mortgagees, lien holders, and other interested persons for this property?
Yes.
Was the search conducted of the real property records of Dallas County, Dallas Central Appraisal District records, records for the Secretary of State for the State of Texas, assumed name records of Dallas County, tax utility, and other records for the city?
Yes.
Was notice of this public hearing sent by certified mail return receipt requested to all owners, mortgagees, and lien holders that you identified in your search, giving them at least 10 days advance notice of this hearing?
It was.
Was notice of this public hearing posted on the front door of the structure at least 10 days in advance of this hearing?
It was.
Was notice of this public hearing published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city at least 10 days in advance of this hearing?
Yes.
Are documents included in the Commissioner's packet of materials which evidence the persons identified through the city's due diligence search for this property and the notification that was provided?
Yes.
Is this property dilapidated, substandard, or unfit for human habitation?
It is.
Is it a hazard to public health, safety, and welfare?
It is.
Is this property vacant?
It is.
Does this property constitute a danger to the public?
It does.
Does it constitute an urban nuisance?
It does.
And what is staff's recommendation for this property?
With that in mind, staff respectfully requests that the commission adopt these findings and make the following orders. Allow city staff to make inspections no later than June 22nd, 2025 to complete the repairs of the structure and put the owner on notice of civil penalties of up to $1,000 a day for missed deadlines. This concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this item? Okay. With that, we'll close this matter to the floor. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Mr. Chair, can I just bring something to y'all's attention before you deliberate? There is a typo in the order and on the staff recommendation on the screen. That should say, instead of the commission's March 26, 2025 hearing, since this was postponed from that hearing, that March 26 date should say today, April 23rd, 2025. I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention. Our apologies.
Okay. I think the printers are going to be working overtime tonight. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, do I hear a motion, probably an amended motion, considering our date formatting?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation as amended for the June 23rd, 2025 meeting. Did I get all that stated correctly?
No, it was the March 26th date today is April 23rd.
April 23rd.
But the order to appear would still be July 23rd because we're not going to be here in
All right.
June.
So as amended.
There we go. All right. Do I hear a second to Commissioner Metter's motion?
Second?
We have a second. Commissioner Simon, please raise your right hand if you're in favor. Motion passes unanimously. And before we adjourn, I know I said this in the work session, but this is Councilman Taylor's last meeting. I believe it's 9 years now. He's been, and I might cut out mid-statement. And I think that Mr. Taylor embodies what it means to be a public servant, and it is truly admirable, both in his capacity as city councilman as well as with his work with Irving Cares. So thank you very much for your time. And with that, we are adjourned.